I have two more questions in the limited time that we have. First question is about your company, and the second question is about the fundraising, which I'm sure every founder always thinks about all the time and probably sometimes wakes up in the night sweating about it. The question is around advisors and board members and investors. What role do they play in your company? You have some of the best in the world, not including me. And talk a little bit about surrounding yourself with people, not just on your team, but also they are on your team, but they're a little bit different. They're not just your board members, but also people that you take advice from. What role do they play in keeping you at least abreast with what's happening around you, if not specific strategies and directives on where the company's going?
Yeah, I think the mistake that a lot of people make is they take advice from people who don't know what they're doing, or who are just good at presenting advice. So very simple heuristic on who you should take advice is do it from people who've already done it, because they'll, even if they may had the wrong insights, you've already removed lots of lots of noise out of the signal. So one is only talk to people who do it. There's so much. I mean, I'm in the camp of, I don't read TechCrunch. I don't read, I just don't consume tech media. Like I call it, it's like tech entertainment. I don't listen to podcasts. I don't do any of that stuff. Mainly because I think it's just noise, and it just gives you all these stupid ideas. A lot of them are wrong. And then, it's kind of like the Warren Buffett Berkshire thing. He's like, the only thing you really need to know about investing is you buy a little bit of the American economy, you hold it for 30 years. That's all you need to know. And he just says in every single interview, people want more because they actually want entertainment. They actually don't want advice. And so I think a big part of getting advice is who you get it from. Secondly, you have to pick people who know their domain really well and take advice about that thing. You shouldn't take advice from a great designer about engineering teams. You take advice from an engineering manager about design teams. And people just start, or fundraising. Like people will ask 5 different things from the same person, one about fundraising, one about hiring, one about firing. And it's like, well, actually, the only thing they're really good at is fundraising, because that's what they did. That's what they did well, or something like that. So I think that there's that. I think you have to be humble. You have to listen to other people. You deeply have to realize that you don't really understand everything. And so you're gonna, but you also, it's simultaneously have to have opinions. So there's a line there. You can't be just like, I've also seen these founders which are just constantly just taking advice. It's like, you got to make a decision, man. You've already gotten 3-4 people's inputs. At this point, getting the 6th and 7th is not going to be helpful. You have enough of the understanding. You got to make this, and you got to move forward. So it's kind of like, a good way to think about this is like, instead of thinking about startups and this, let's talk about, you want to be a world-class baseball player. You want to be a world-class basketball player. No matter how much advice you give me about being a world-class basketball player, I'm not going to be a world-class basketball player, because the average American NBA player is like 6'5". And there's this stat in the US, which is if you're over 7 feet, 17% of 7-footers in the US become professional NBA players. So you have a 1 in 5 shot if you hit 7 feet that you're just going to play in the NBA or close to it. No amount of advice or practice is going to help there. And that's a hard reality. So some people are meant to be founders, some people are not. That is also something that I think often doesn't get talked about. So think about it in that way as well, which is like, maybe your role isn't to start a company. Maybe your role is to be an early employee. I used to think at YC that every single person should start a company. I still pretty much believe that, because I think you can misdiagnose yourself and think I'm not a founder, and you actually might be a good founder. And incidentally, the people who don't think they're good founders tend to be better founders than the people who are like, I was born a founder. So I think that but the punchline here is you have to be humble to recognize, what is good advice, what is not good advice, and then take it, and then be decisive, act on it, move forward. Yeah.